Good morning, team. In this document, I will be explaining you about how to create a final research project of BA 6933. If you cross-check your works, in week 2, week 4, and week 6, we worked on the research project different phases. In the first week, we identified a data set and we wrote some sort of uh, what kind of research problem you faced and what we are proposed to do. On that context, you created one-page document as a summary of week one work. And in the next stage, you performed EDA and other critical explorations, and you created some sort of statistical analysis. And based on that, you identified what are the key variables and what is the relationship to the problem. So, what are the important key variables in the data set that you identified? Next, in the phase three, you created model of ARM, simple regression model, multiple regression model, and logistic regression. Three different regression models you created, and you also created confusion matrix for logistic regression. And every week, what we did is we submitted a weekly summary explaining some sort of interpretation kind of thing. Okay, a summary kind of thing we submitted. So in the third phase, you already have interpretation of data, interpretation of models. All the three models you already interpreted, and you have that summary document. In the second document, what information you are having is you are having information related to what are key variables based on analysis performed. And in the first document, you already have data related to what is the research problem and what you are going to analyze. Okay, so now this is what you are having. So you already have what is the research problem you are doing, what is the data set you are having, what are the variables you are working on, and next using that you prepared exploratory data analysis EDA, and based on that you identified what are the key variables that should be included in the data set. And before doing this, I guess you have cleaned your data and you performed the analysis. Okay. So, and after that, you implemented three different models, simple, multiple, and logistic regression models, and you interpreted it and explained what is the best model to be used in the process. So we cannot use simple regression, but let's make multiple regression and logistic regression models. Among these two, what is the best model that can be used and why? That is already explained here. So this is what you did till date. Now, this complete project should be properly structured and created into a one big document, and we should create a proper presentation document on the work that we have finished. So, for your information, we already completed introductory section with like maybe a generic explanation about the topic you created that should be done. So maybe like see generic explanation. Since in the law broader way, so your topic should be introduced. Generic explanation of the topic. This is what we need to include. Maybe 100 to 200 words. Maybe 150 to 200 words should be written on this. Then we are having research problem and whatever the like initial week summary we created. Na? So research problem and other sections from week phase one summary. From phase one summary can be included. So make sure it is in proper parts like problem Next, what we are going to do, like how, what is the optimal solution that we are going to implement. Those sections should be properly done. It is already done in summary section. Okay, so this is already done. Next, we write literature review. This section should be written in 2 to 3 pages, and you should utilize 15 references. 15 proper references you should use. Okay, it should be done in 2 to 3 pages, and your work should contain references. See, for example, let me show you one example how to create this one. Say, for example, to your employee, one employee has created this. This is the title of a data-driven quality improvement in steel production. Okay, so this cannot be exact title, but anyhow, so when you are establishing some sort of relationship, you should speak. Your element should be very specifically related to that, and your analysis title should be related to that only. Okay, so for her, like her or him, it is clearly given that what are the key process parameters that influence the size and severity of surface defects in steel plates. Maybe this is one question, and this is second question. How can these parameters be used to predict occurrence of defects before production complete? Maybe these two are the key questions that we should address. So based on this, we are supposed to create literature review. So generally we speak about regular defects in steel production and what elements usually influence that. So maybe it's related to uh, steel production, like defects in steel production, and what factors influence steel production in general, maybe in general. So now you take specific elements like whatever the keywords that you have selected. Maybe these are the independent variables, right? Um, Perimeter, sum of luminosity, and steel plate thickness. So I don't know whether these X addresses or not. Anyhow, she took those values. So we should relate how perimeter, luminosity, and plate thickness impact on pixel areas, and how these elements, again, how these elements impact on pastry. So for these sections, uh, you should write your literature review. So you should speak about defects in steel production, what kind of defects we come across, and what factors influence steel. What factors influence steel production defects, and so how this perimeter, luminosity, and plate thickness impact on physical areas, and how this is done. So then finally, summary of the research, maybe summary of the literature review. So this is literature review. This is how you should frame your literature review. Got it? So now this makes sense. You created some theoretical analysis on these sections based on which you identified that there are several factors that influence the selected case. Like here it is steel production, right? Steel production defects. There will be a lot of factors that will be influencing steel production, and those factors will be creating unnecessary defects in the production. Okay, so what key elements that are in generally you should write that. Then you should speak as we identified some sort of important elements. Already we did some sort of exploratory analysis and we identified dependent variables that will be included in the research, right? So those values, how they are impacting your topic, like a target variable. So if you took like maybe, say for example, if you took maybe your columns are independent variables are cost, maybe variable cost, maybe fixed cost like this, and you are trying to analyze the profit. Okay, so if your case is like this, you should speak about organizations and why profit is important for the organizations, how profit get impacted because of different factors, what factors will be influencing profit generation of your company. Then you should speak about what regular costs, what how they impact, like taxation, generic cost, taxation, and depreciation, how they will be impacting, and how variable cost is impacting, how fixed cost is impacting. These elements you should analyze. Okay, so first you create a generic information about your topic. Then you speak about in general what factors influence your target variable. Then whatever the selected variables are there in your analysis in the phase 2, you created that. So those factors and how they are impacting your target variable, that should be evaluated and written in the literature review part. I hope you understood. So this work you should be completing it in 2 to 3 pages, and it should include 15 references. Got it? And every paragraph should contain at least three in text citations in each paragraph. Got me? And you are supposed to create your sections like this. So maybe after this, need not to mention summary. You can create one different, one separate. Need not to give this summary name. Okay, no heading. You will be concluding your work in one paragraph or at the end of literature review. Okay, so this is how you should prepare for all these sections. You are going to prepare like that only. All right. So now you have literature review part, which is done, and let me copy and paste this one there. Next, it is methodology. Methodology you should write in one page, I suggest you. So we are working on data analysis methodology. So in this methodology, the methodology consists of different steps. Um, they include already created in here. I already created it. Okay, so here. So these are the usual steps that are included in methodology that we have used. The methodology name is data analytics methodology or data science methodology, whatever you take. In this methodology, we will be having give this prompt and try to understand what is the research methodology when working on data science project. Ask this one, it will be creating a step and define research problem. Ignore that. Set hypothesis objectives. So what could be your hypothesis? You should create hypothesis. We work on data collection, data cleaning. No, what is that? When we have an existing data set to from federal like rights. So research design, next data source. We should speak about these sections. What is your data source? Next, understanding data. This section you already did. Okay. So you spoke about the data and some areas you already created data processing, model selection and building. Okay, data processing, feature encoding, normalization, standardization. So anyhow, usually like the regular steps that are included in data science project is selection of data set. Okay, so mostly what we write, you can get some inputs from there, but here what we do is like data analytics model, data analytics model. In this, what we do, we select, we get data set, we get data set from, let me write everything. So data pre-processing in this, we perform data cleaning and preparing data. After data cleaning and preparing, we perform EDA analysis. This will help in identifying key features, so implementation of models, testing. These are usual steps that include in our data. Anyhow, I suggest you to go with the idea that will be generated by AI tool, and you should understand the process. This is the general process. When we have a data set, we try to analyze the data set. Before analyzing the data set, what we do, we pre-process the data set so that we can minimize errors in the data, and we can standardize data for formats, like if it is in textual kind of thing, if we have any numerical kind of thing, that can be reduced, and if any missing values or NAs are there, that should be properly handled. Only when we clear the data, then only we can go with EDA process. In the EDA process, we already performed in the week two, phase two, we already performed EDA analysis, and we identified some sort of key features. So that process we explain here. In the methodology section, you theoretically mention what you are about to do. So that will be, so for that case, this section should be written in maybe like we already used these areas. So that will be written in past tense kind of thing. As a part of analysis, I have choose data analytics methodology, in which like a data set was selected from a kaggle.com. The data set is about, this is the source of the data set. Like that in past tense you should write. Okay, so this like we will be testing the data. So when we are creating a model, make sure you cross check your work in phase three work, EDA model preparation. In that, you should have testing data and train data. Both data should be there, based on which you will be evaluating your process. Simple regression model is not acceptable. Usually, whatever the model you have created, that should contain train data and test data. Both data should be there. Okay. So, so that is also simple. Already mentioned you how to create that. Like use this query. Excel, attach your Excel sheet. Uh, Develop. You should mention your whatever exploratory data analysis when you attach your Excel sheet, and you have when you have independent variables and dependent variable data, means target variable and dependent variable data. So develop maybe simple regression, develop and test simple regression between, maybe like take this like simple regression, multiple regression, logistic, independent variables. Their names, name one, name two, like this, all the names, and target variable. Mention your target variable, or if you have two target variables, usually we don't get two target variables, one target variable will be there. If you have two target variables, it's okay, fine. When you have another target variable, if you have two target variables, whole process should be done twice. Okay, so first for target one, we will be working on complete data set. And for target two, we should again repeat all the process. All right, so make sure you have only one target variable. Okay, so create in learning style. So you give this kind of query, develop and test simple regression, multiple regression, logistic regression between dependent variables and target variable. Create in learning style. This query will, when you include your Excel sheet to this one, your CSV file to this one, it will generate some sort of code. Maybe create in R. Just you create in R language, otherwise R script. Okay. So it will be generating R script that can be directly used and you can generate your Excel sheet. I hope you know that process. Okay. So this definitely includes test and train data. Make sure that is there in your work. All right. So anyhow, this is already created by you. You can use that directly if even if it is test is not there. The model clearly explains what is the R square value, what is other values. It clearly shows that. Even if you didn't do testing kind of thing also, like means test and train data also it is done. Okay, for this, just include it like that. If you have time, if you can understand it and if you can easily implement it, if you have knowledge about it, please try to recreate your model. If you have any difficulty in creating that, don't create that. Just simply go with the model that you created for the phase 3 work that we have done. Okay, so maybe remove this testing section and interpretation. Implementation of models and implement interpretation is done. Now, this here we are speaking everything in theoretical. This should be done in 1 to 2 pages max. Maybe like I will give you target of 1.5 page. Okay, so that is done. Results section, you already interpreted the data. So results, exploratory data analysis का results. So that is this is here. You can replace phase two data, phase two info, phase two summary that you created. Because and your section is EDA analysis, results of EDA analysis. EDA analysis results. You can give phase two summary and for this interpretation of models. For this, you can give phase 3 summary. So these are interpretation models, results you are already having. So give screenshots and include discussion. Everything you can include there itself. Okay, so you'll be giving results and you will be giving summary of the work. Okay. Now you can give your insights like how in the research model implementation you will be having for each element there will be a p-value at the end of summary. Like if you take regression model or logistic regression model or simple regression model, at the end there will be a significance values and other values. So you take the screenshot and ask ChatGPT to interpret that regression model based on each independent variable, how it is impacting on the target variable. It clearly provides whether the selected value is having significant impact or not. So based on that, whatever the dependent variables that you have selected, whether they are important for predicting the target variable or not, that you can identify. So even when collectively addressing the data, whether it is important or not, that you can discuss. So in this discussion, you identified that initially there are certain key factors like here what we do. So this is the data set detail, right? We mentioned that perimeter luminosity and plate thickness, these are implementing pixel values. Whether it is implementing or not, that you should properly explain. So that is where discussion comes. And other factors also you took and it is implementing on pastry or not, that you should decide. Okay. So that discussion will be done here. So whatever the key features you selected, whether they have ability to implement, interpret on that or not, you should discuss. And you should conclude which model is more efficiently establishing relationship between these variables, the dependent variables and target variables. Okay, so among the three models that we have created, which model is more effectively interpreting? But that's fixed. That is based on the regression accuracy, right? So the R square value that we have created, okay, for logistic regression, the accuracy will be different, and for multiple regression, linear regression, you will be having R square value. So just find out accuracy and ROC values and speak about them. If not ROC, speak about accuracy values and errors, standard error that we get. Those two elements you can speak about. Okay. So discussion hardly 1 page. Recommendations. So what you recommend? So based on the analysis, you identified that, right? You identified that dependent variables are impacting target variables. So what recommendations you want to make? So whether So if it is a cost and profit, cost should be reduced to increase the profit. That will be the recommendation. In this case, you should improvise whatever the key factors that you are identified to improve your target variable. So that you should recommend, and you should recommend organizations, whatever the organization that is involved in the key business that you selected. जो database, like whatever the data set you are having, in the data set there will be some business issue, right? For that business, you will be explaining that these factors should be improvised. Okay, maybe this is half page. This is half page. I will write in text. Okay, half page. In conclusion, hardly 150 to 200 words. So next, make sure you implement all the references here. Okay. So if you are interested in creating appendix, whatever the works you have done, put all the screenshots of your work. So exploratory data analysis work, and maybe simple regression work, and other multiple regression, logistic regression, all the results can be included here. Appendix 1, maybe EDA analysis, histogram. So all the screenshots you can create here. Okay. So you can put all your work over here. Okay. In the EDA also, you should give screenshots and explanatory results. Okay. Interpretation model also give screenshots and give explanatory. Okay. So discussion can be maybe half page to one page. That's one page is good actually. But anyhow, something around one page is all good. All right. So this is what we created. And if you can see your total work. So this is also like here, abstract is also not that much mandatory. Just make sure if you write it looks good. Even if you don't write, that is not a key requirement of our document requirement. All right. So make sure you prepare it like this and complete your work. All right. I hope you understood the process. All the best, guys. Thank you.